Hey guys, I'm Alana from Win Win, and today I've got a special guest on. This guy's generally come onto my radar. You might have seen him in the Win Win Facebook group, but he's been doing some really awesome stuff within the mental health sector, especially when it comes to men's mental health, which is such a sometimes taboo subject. So he's an ex-FIFO worker, he's an NLP consultant, he's a mental health advocate, and he's the facilitator of the man walk in Wagga, Matty Griffiths. Welcome to the whatever the video.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to be here, Alana. Thanks for having me. And yeah, well, that's what it was. Is the man walk. I've only just started that in Wagga recently. Now, it's not my innovation. However, it's in alignment with things that I do and my values. And I thought, all right, how can we get a group of men together? And I stumbled across that and just get out there and start walking and start talking. And then being an ex-FIFO walker, I thought, well, I'm going to put this on a few mining pages as well. And then randomly, we come across each other that way. You become chosen as I shared it. So that's how the connection happened there. And yeah, regarding the FIFO side of things, so originally for me, I worked shipping logistics and I worked up in Northern Territory for a shipping company up there and up in Arnhem Land. And then after that, my first ever FIFO mining job was Barrow Island back in 2012. And that was a 26 and 9 roster in construction. And, the big money and working away, and I was all excited. And it started out great. I mean, it still was really good. However, I guess I'd gone for Northern Territory where I wasn't mining and it was a little bit more, I'll say, sort of open free will. And then I've come to oil and gas industry where it was just highly regulated and you had to do everything as, dot your I's and cross your T's, so to speak. And for me, I was going about doing swings, coming home, having 9 days off in Perth, living over in WA. And then I was going okay, and it was one afternoon on my 9 days off. I didn't feel too good, and long story short, I collapsed on the kitchen floor at home in Perth. Ended up in Subi at St John of God in the cardiac ward, getting everything checked out, thinking there's something wrong with my heart and all these things. Anyway, long story short, that was, I guess, what I'll say, my awakening into what I'm doing now as far as the mental health side goes. So I started on that journey, I'll say self-discovery and thinking, medically or physically there was something wrong. And I went to doctors and blood tests and you name it. And there was nothing wrong. So eventually, I got back to work, I cleared back up on Barrow. And fatigue, and I'll say I was labelled chronic fatigue, these things persisted. So I then sought alternative modalities. I could go into that. That's just another thing I could go on forever. There was all sorts of weird and wonderful things I did. What I'll say is eventually I made the decision after sort of having more time off through sickness and fatigue and not feeling well. I made the decision to resign from working that job at Barrow. And I still, I guess, at that point, I went to a few Chinese herbal medicine and acupuncture, and they said it's stress, and I was like, hey, I'm not stressed. I was that, I'll say, meat and three veg sort of guy, a couple of beers, get up and get on with it, and there's nothing wrong with me. And not so much was in denial, but back then I didn't have the awareness around what was going on that I have now. And that just came from, I guess, quitting that job. And then slowly over time, my energy started to come back and I started to work on doing more things that I love to do. And that could be work and then having more of a work life balance. And yeah, that was sort of the start of this journey into the men's mental health space. And yeah, my own healing, if you like, which is always, I guess, an ongoing process. Then I decided, well, I've always wanted to help and have that desire to help others and started putting it out there. And over the years, done other trainings and stuff to get where I am today. So, yeah.
So talking about Barrow, obviously I
Mm,
was there, we were there at the same time. We didn't actually
yeah.
know each other, but that's
No.
that's ironic. And obviously those long rosters, right? You had the luxury of 26 and 9. I was doing 4 and 1 for a long
Yeah.
time. And that can be a pretty harsh roster, especially when it comes to mental health, the fatigue and like being away from your family and stuff like that. Do you think that there's a chance that the longer rosters, how much responsibility do these long rosters have in causing or potentially not assisting mental health issues? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm going to predominantly speak from my experience and I guess from people I saw at the time and people I've spoken to since. And I think it's a big factor, contributing factor. I mean, of course, we're all different. And that's the thing. Some people have that, I'll say, coping mechanism, or their why, I'll say, is strong enough. So they know the reasons they were there. And I think that was one of my things that I hadn't evaluated fully when I was there, is having a strong enough why. I was going about cashing up, putting all this money in the bank, and I didn't have a bigger picture, a bigger plan. And I think if I had had that, that would have given me more of direction what I was doing and why I was doing it. Having said that, though, I think there's still stress management and fatigue management and all those things that I guess we need to consider. And I know that their rosters over time have improved, and you see a lot more even time rosters, I think, now. I mean, you would know more about that than I would. And I think that is something that's definitely helping the industry from that perspective. And fast forwarding into 2 years ago, I was working up on Coolan Island, Mount Gibson Island, and that was a 2-in-1. For me, that was a much more user-friendly roster. The site was better for me, and this is a personal thing because I guess at that point I discovered ways to, I'll say, ground myself. So, I mean, we had a ocean view because you're on an island,
Yeah.
and going for walks after work, things that I still could have done working on Barrow, but I just didn't do because I wasn't in that, I guess, headspace at the time. And then for me, that 2-in-1 roster that I did more recently was a lot more user friendly. For me personally, I've always found that night shift has been more of a struggle. I
Yeah.
find if I, after doing a week of nights or a couple of weeks of night shifts, that mentally I don't feel as great. I don't sleep as well during the day, and I need more sleep, I find. So for me, that's taxing. When other people I've worked with doing night shifts, they adjusted and adapted fine to it. So I think, again, that's a personal thing and ways to, I guess, combat and deal with that. And as I say, I talk a lot about grounding. So for me, especially when I'm home, to talk about meditation, I've done training in meditations, and it's a great tool. And also, but you don't have to necessarily do meditation for me. What is meditation for you? And that's anything that puts you in the moment right now. For me, I love playing guitar. I'm a bit of a drone up, flying drones. Whenever I'm doing things like that, that's my time. And I know you possibly can do those things on site. Playing guitar, you could. But when I'm home, um, that gives me something to be in the now and I'm totally focused on. And then it can be a simple thing like going for a walk or, as I say, watching a sunrise, watching a sunset. And those simple things in life to get back to the basics, I guess, is a good place to start.
Yeah, good plan. Grounding is a big one. I did the same thing. I just go walking around on my grass with no shoes on, and meditation can be anything. Absolutely, I agree with that. So
Yeah.
yeah. Now talk to me. When we spoke the other day, I did have a chat about some people just not realizing that they're having like mental health issues because it's disguised as something else, or not having any like smack in the face, like sort of situations like what happened to you. Was there
Yeah.
any like lead up to you, having your hospitalization where you like red flags that started going off where you thought, oh shit, maybe maybe there's something bigger going on?
Oh, there was. I mean, the first thing, as far as I'll label it as anxiety. So, I mean, they say in simple terms, anxiety can be fear of the future, depression, regret of the past. I know that's a very simple definition, but it would be doing certain things. It'd be getting up in the morning to go to the airport, to get on the flight, to make sure I didn't miss it, and all these. I'd be stressed and okay, I'm on site, and then well, what's happening next? So I was in that state of adrenal fatigue almost. And I knew that, but it was okay, just got to get through this swing, get through the next swing. And over time, as well as that, I found I was starting to have, and this is personally what happened, everyone can have these things manifest in different ways, it was digestive issues. So I was finding that my stomach was upset and I thought I was having intolerances to certain foods. And I was running to the bathroom and all these things, but really what was going on, it was stress. And I didn't see the key indicators for that looking back now. So those things, yeah, if you're just feeling tension in your body, or you're maybe feeling a feeling of fear, or a negative emotion around whatever it is the next thing that you're about to go and do or thinking about going to do, or as I say, those physical symptoms that I started to have, like having digestive issues that weren't there before. So something's popping up that's out of the ordinary. Not to say we're all going to feel good all the time. That's one thing to acknowledge. It's okay to sometimes not be okay and not to feel okay. But it's if it lingers and it's staying there for an extended period, then it's time to ask yourself the question, well, maybe I need to go and have a chat or look at something else.
Yeah.
I know we all have ups and downs, and that's part of life, but it's acknowledging when there's something there that's persistent, and then taking some action to help yourself with that. Yeah.
Yeah, those feelings that you're talking about were exactly what I'd feel every single time I had to go to the airport. I was just like, oh no, not again. Especially for 4 weeks. I was like, no, what am I doing? That it's not till you get to site where you're like, okay, this is all right. I can handle this, maybe. But obviously, yeah, you're right. If you get to that stage where you're just constantly like, oh no, something is wrong, then you've got to reassess what you're doing. And is what you're doing making you happy? Are you like, substituting your time just for money? Like, like what is going to work? Definitely. But yeah, no, 100%. Talk to me about this man walk that you do. Is this man walk different from a lady walk?
Well, it's different from a lady walk from the perspective of, well, it's only men. And sorry, ladies, I do apologise. I'm about helping anyone and everyone. However, for me, being a man, well, I'm hoping that I can relate to men. And also knowing that when I've been in a place where I felt stuck or not felt great, that us men tend to think that we're problem solvers. All the time we are. But sometimes I've had it where I call it the snowball effect. And what I mean by that is the problem starts off this big and it goes round and around our heads and we try and solve it. And if we can't solve it, well, that problem can manifest and become bigger and bigger and bigger until constantly on your mind, on my mind, to the point where I was not feeling great and going, well, I don't know where to go to. This is not getting any better. And at the time, when I'm thinking at a particular time when this happened for me, I reached out to a friend of mine who was a coach, and it was a few simple things that I was working with a female coach, gave me to assist me in just, I guess, being kinder to myself. That was the first thing. I was beating myself up and being far too hard on myself. Just a bit of, I'll say, self-love and appreciation. And that's where the man walk, it's just about getting out there. There doesn't have to be a conversation, but I find that, as I said in my live when doing the walk the other day, I say emotion is energy in motion. So if you're feeling trapped, feeling stuck, get out there, get the body moving. You're out in nature, in the sun, bit of grounding going on, and that's where a conversation can organically flow. Now, it doesn't have to happen every time. You just never know when you're walking and talking what might come out, and the end of it, you're feeling so much better because someone's telling you what's going on in their story or their life, and then quite often I'll look at that and I go, hey, well, that's me. You'll see your reflection of you and them, and you go, well, we're all got our own battles and journeys at time, and bouncing off each other is one way to support each other, and that's it. Move
Definitely.
forward.
Yeah, and I'm making stupid jokes here, but like it's obviously really, really important. And it's such a great initiative for guys to get involved because as we know, the guys tend to like, oh no, it's all good, blah, 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 nothing's going on, and like not really verbalize when things might be happening. So I think it's a really great initiative that you're doing there. So how have you found it, building in, popularity, or how are you promoting it, or what's the go there?
With the Man Walk, as I say, that's not my initiative. It's Australia wide, so anyone can join it. So if you're, well, I'm in Wagga, New South Wales. If you're in Perth or wherever, jump onto your local area. There could be one already going, or if there's not and you have the initiative, you'd like to start one up, just get onto the Man Walk page and have a look, and you can easily join and start one up there. For me, I've only been doing the actual Man Walk for a few weeks, so this is new where I've just started putting it out there and doing lives. So I've only had a handful of guys. I say only, it's a starting point, and from there, I hope to build it forward from there going forward. With that, I have got my own group, which is Men Reconnecting and Re-Energizing, which I've had for a while, and I post some goodies in there, I'd like to say. And again, I'll say, philosophy around that is it's about us disconnecting to reconnecting and letting go of all those distractions. And okay, we'll have those, but then just coming back and, as I said before, grounding and just in the now. Sometimes less is more, and just simplifying things so you can clear your headspace and feel better about where you are.
Awesome. And we'll chuck a link in below this video. So if you want to get in contact with Matty or join him on his walk, why not? Get out there, and we'll chuck it below. So awesome. All right. Well, Matt, let's talk about Christmas time. Like, I don't know about you, but Christmas, especially on site, I absolutely hated it. That's the time when I was like, nah, I would put my annual leave form 2 years ahead so I didn't have to do Christmas. Like, that's how much I was adverse to doing Christmas. But what would you suggest for anyone who might be going through some stuff if they're on site around the Christmas period?
Connection is the big one. It's reaching out. Don't feel that you're alone. And I know that we can all feel isolated. And I'm pretty fortunate. There's been a couple of Christmases where I managed to fly home, so I was blessed. family, friends, make that phone call, do the Facebook video chat, and then on site. I'm sure that we've all got, even if it's just that small network that you can reach out to and just have a chat and hang out with. And I know that Christmas, it's, you're working and you're doing the 12-hour shift, so it's few and far between. And there might be a special dinner they do, and that's about it. But just the small things that we make an effort for can add up to be the bigger things in the long run. If we don't make small increments and small efforts as we go, then it can sort of build and become into something bigger. So I think just every day, as I say, phone someone at home, reach out to someone on site, and just have a coffee, just have a chat. It doesn't have to be anything big. And around Christmas, especially, I think it's the same philosophy of making the effort to do that every day, even if it's only for a couple of minutes, can make the world a difference.
Yeah, definitely. And like everyone's going through the same thing on site as well. So, like just be nice to people, say Merry Christmas or whatever it might be, or however you can make everyone else's time a bit nicer as well at the same time.
Oh, that's it. And I remember one particular guy I worked with on the last site, and he was very outspoken, lovely guy, but he would always, out of his way, was going good morning to everyone, and even if you didn't know them, but it was great. It was just having that connection with people, and it doesn't matter which department you're in. Let's all try and support one another if we can.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And tell us about your NLP, Matt. So, what's the go with that for people who
Uh,
might have never had exposure to it?
yeah, NLP, neuro linguistic programming. It's around the language we use, and the way that we phrase language is the basis of it. However, within that, there's many different frameworks and techniques that we can use to yes, it's releasing of negative emotions, or it can help with reducing I'll say, almost the trauma from past experiences. And it's a simple process. It's an unconscious process where a particularly good one, an effective one that I see a lot of NLP practitioners use, and I've had it done on me, and I've also helped other people with it, is timeline therapy. And that's a process of going through an event from the past. Share the event with anyone. It can be a personal event to you, it can be private, and it's moving through that and it's moving above it and letting go of some negative emotions around that. And sometimes for people, the event will feel, I guess, less negative, or for some people, they can even forget what the event was. Everyone's different. There's no 100% right or wrong, but that's just one particular thing. So there's many other things within LP, but I find it a really effective and a powerful tool to help people that might be stuck in a negative pattern.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, we'll definitely put some links there. So if you want to get in contact with Matt, you can get him to do some NLP on you. Can you do this from afar, Matt, or is this you have to be in the same room situation in Wagga?
Absolutely not. It can be done over Zoom, like we're talking now. It's just a simple process, closing your eyes and just tuning in to the sound of my voice, and take you through a simple process that only takes a few minutes, and yeah, it can be quite effective. But yeah, easy.
Awesome. Well, there you go. And any last words on mental health, mining industry, whatever?
Um, I'd just like to say thank you for everyone who's tuning in and watching this. I know sometimes they say the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. In other words, if you're feeling stuck, it could be emotionally, mentally, physically, whatever it is, reaching out is always or can be the hardest part. So have the courage and take that first step and reach out to me, or reach out to one of your friends, whoever it is you feel you might need to reach out to. And trust me, I've been there, and it can make the world a difference and make you feel so much better where you're at. So.
Awesome advice there, Matt. Definitely. I agree 100%. I write stuff down, then rip it out, chuck it in the bin, whatever, if I'm having a bad day. So just, you're not alone, especially if you're on site. You've got employee assistance programs, like a ton of helplines where you can text people like, I'm feeling shit or whatever. So, you're not alone, especially if you're on the mine site. So Matt, thank you so much for your time today. Really, really appreciate it. Keep up the great work with what you're doing. I'm loving your lives. You'll have to teach me how to do one of those one time. That'll be good. And
Sure.
yeah, we'll see you in the Facebook group, Matt.
Will do. I look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. All right.